Yep.
Stand for the pledge, please. I'd ask if you could remain standing after the pledge. Appreciate that. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dwayne Hazelton, a public servant in Massena for more than 26 years, passed away on August 30th. Dwayne was a village trustee from 1982 to 1985. He resigned that position after being elected town supervisor and served in that capacity from 1986 to 1997. We then pulled him back into public service, and he served as a commissioner on the Massena Housing Authority Board from 2008 until the time of his death. So our thoughts and prayers are with his wife Charlene, his daughters Kelly and Shannon, his son David, his 5 grandchildren, the rest of his family, and of course his many, many friends. So if you would please observe a moment of silence for Mr. Supervisor Dwayne Hazelton. Thank you. Reminder, if you could please silence your electronic devices, that would be greatly appreciated. Roll call, Ms. Winston is excused. Mr. Carl? Here. Mr. Shays? Here. Mr. Levere? Here. And here. Call the September 17, 2019 Village Board of Trustees meeting to order. We start with a public hearing to amend Chapter 240 solid waste to increase container size to 34 gallons. At this time, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Mr. Levere, second by Mr. Carl. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This is a public hearing. Mr. Levere, anything to add before we open up the public?
No, as explained at our last meeting, this is simply to accommodate, there's a new variation of the medium-sized containers available at big box stores that are 34 gallons versus 32. The reason we don't allow the larger 40-something gallons is they're just too big and bulky for our employees to handle, and they can get way too heavy as well. But we want to make sure we're accommodating as much as possible in the smaller and mid-range sizes. So now that customers have access to this 34 gallon, we wanted to make sure we were doing our best to allow them to utilize those. So this is upping that up to 34.
This is a public hearing. At this time, we will take public comment. We ask you to please come to the podium, state your name for the record. Public hearing, public comment on this item only at this time. Seeing no public comment, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So
Mr. Levere, second by Mr. Shays. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we have a proposed resolution to adopt local law 240 to amend solid waste.
So moved.
Mr. Levere, second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. It's a resolution. Poll individually. Mr. Carvel.
Aye.
Mr. Shays.
Aye.
Mr. Levere.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Reports of officers and committees. The treasurer's report. Well,
Good evening, everyone. I have distributed out all the reports for the budget report, the balance sheet, and projections. Last week should have been in your bins. If you have any questions, let me know. The summary is right there that shows where we're at. Year to date through August, about $6.9 million in revenue and $3.9 million in expenses overall. Number 2, the annual update document that I need to file with New York State was filed electronically on August 22nd. I haven't heard anything from them yet. Any questions or revisions, it takes us some time to review it and go over it. But the board, you want to read it, it's in my office. I'm working on the financial statements as we speak. Talking with the auditors over a little bit, asking some questions on any changes, those kind of things. So we're working on that. Making pretty good progress, I would say. Through the close of business on September 10th, we collected $5.78 million in taxes, about 90.8%. Compared to the same time last year was about 91%, so we're pretty close to running rate at the same ballpark of what we were last year. The last date for collection of the village will be September 30th. At that time, any unpaid get turned over to the county. They collect for October and then November. that money gets re-levied on the January tax bills or the county bills. The New York State Retirement System has put out their rates for the 2021 budget year, fiscal year. All of them have gone up, some just a slight bit, but the police and fire has gone up larger. So those rates are listed there, which is what I'll use for budgeting in 2021 budget. And we have received our 2021 workers' comp bill from the county that we would be paying is $293,035, which is a decrease of $24,935 from this year. So see a little bit of decreases here. And that's all that I have.
Questions for Mr. Ball? Thank you. Further committee reports, code enforcement, Mr. Carvel, Mr. LeBeer. Economic Development Committee, Mr. LeBeer.
Trustee Winston and I continue to meet with the town representatives and the H3 Designs representatives on the branding project that they're working on, branding, marketing, and website. Great discussions, great workshops, and excited to see where it all leads.
Fire Committee, Mr. Carvel, Mr. LeBeer.
Nothing at this time.
Personnel Committee, Mr. DeShays.
Nothing.
Police Committee, Mr. Carvel, Mr. DeShays.
Couple items later on the agenda.
Recreation, Mr. DeShays.
Yeah. The opening statement was made at the meeting we had was, there'll be ice out October the 7th, it's out of Monday, in the arena. Get ready for all the activities that take place here on the ice. Love Massena, the event that they have that started a couple of years ago, was well attended, and everybody had a good time. There was no comment, no trouble with anybody there. They had a good crowd. They had the Boss Frog competition, which is an annual thing that's been going on. And they had summer recreation ended on August the 9th with a half a day of activities. They did their usual free trips to the nature center, any golf and movies, but lost the bowling alley. They don't have the bowling alley in Messina anymore. Registration started August the 1st with MAA hockey group. We're planning on having a mosquito, mite, 2 squirts, 2 peewees, and a bantam team this season. The front door project was going on with the money that was left over from what they were getting on the roof on a grant, and it's going to cost $18,780 to replace the front door project at the arena. Next meeting will be held on October 7th, which we did have. See you in my report.
Street Committee, Mr. LeBeer.
Work continues, making the most of the good weather.
Water and Sewer, Mr. LeBeer. Initial public comment period. As always, we ask you to please come to the podium and state your name for the record. Initial public comment. Seeing none, moving to old business, we have a proposed resolution to authorize revised intermunicipal agreement with the town of Massena for paving of municipal parking lot at the fire department and rear of town hall. As you recall, we adopted this last year. The town made a couple minor revisions, went back to our attorney, and we agree with their revisions, asking you to re-adopt it.
So moved.
Mr. LeBeer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. This resolution pulled individually. Mr. Carvel.
Aye.
Mr. DeShays.
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer.
Aye.
Resolution carries. B, proposed resolution to authorize submission of a court assistance grant program application, 1920.
So moved.
Mr. LeBeer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. It's a resolution polled individually. Mr. Carvel.
Aye.
Mr. DeShays.
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer.
Aye.
Resolution carries. C, discuss reissue request for multi-year contract negotiator. Turn it over to Mr. LeBeer.
Trustees, as you know, at the last meeting, we discussed our upcoming contract negotiations. In the past, we've utilized a professional contract negotiator. We're attempting to move away from that. Trustee Winston and I worked very well with the fire group and got their new contract without the assistance of the negotiator. However, However, there's still 5 remaining, so we were looking to see what services were out there to assist with 2 of the 5. And we would continue to work on all 5, but do the other 3 exclusively in-house. One proposal came in. You received a copy of that proposal. While we're grateful for the firm's proposal, in my opinion, it is much more in terms of the scope of work than we need, and it is certainly too costly, in my opinion. So my recommendation would be we can go back out one more time, see if any additional proposals come in, and go from there.
That's a motion.
So I'll motion that we reissue the request for proposals.
Second.
Contract negotiator.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeShays. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, appointment of Elaine Dunn-Thayer, Commissioner of the Massena Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Mr. LeBeer. Second by Mr. DeShays. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a proposed resolution authorized to execute St. Louis County Snow and Ice Control Agreement for the 1920 snow season. Mr. Fayad, anything to add with this?
No, this is nothing new, it's standard boilerplate thing, so.
Same thing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. LeBeer, second by Mr. DeShays. Discussion. It's a resolution, poll individually. Mr. Carvel?
Aye.
Mr. DeShays?
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer?
Aye.
Resolution carries. Discussion, tip 411 proposal. Chief?
I was at a training several weeks ago, and while I was there, I found it's a web-based service called Tip 411. What Tip 411 does is that it's a web-based service. It's for the mobile community, so if you have your cell phones, you would be able to reach out to our agency. You can engage with us with it. We can share tips. You can receive alerts. So if Main Street, something was going to be done on Main Street, I would be able to put it in as Tip 411, send out a blast. Everybody that's connected to our Tip 411 would get all the alerts. If you happen to get alert and you have information on it, you can click on it and actually email us or send us a tip back to it. If we have an incident or a crime that we could be looking for an individual, we could be pushing this out on there, and you can anonymously click on the button and notify us or give us information in regards to it. This is just one way, I think, for us to go reach out to our community, better interact with them, get a positive interaction, and I think it's gonna do a lot, just not for the police department, but it could be the fire department or DPW. If DPW is doing work on Main Street or has a roadblock, I can push that out there and reach out to thousands of people by a push of a button. Not only does that go, it also would interact with Facebook. So I could throw Facebook on there to DPWs if they wish to, and I can push that information out and get a lot of information out in a short amount of time. Because that's one thing we have a hard time right now is being able to sit right at your desk and type stuff out. I can actually do it from my cell phone, push it out, get as much information out there as much as possible, as quick as possible. Sometimes, you know, it could be snow alerts, all that. I can be able to push that out and inform our community and keep them safe. That's one of our jobs, right? To keep everybody safe. We have a snow emergency, I can put that out there. I just think it would be smart if I could be able to get this to our community members.
If I may add, trustees, I looked at this extensively when I saw it in our packet. The chief mentioned it as well. You know, a common question when apps like this come up is why and why not just use social media? The why the chief just explained perfectly. There's a variety of communication resources that touch various demographic segments. And there is a very large segment that is now that mobile-based segment. The problem with using social media is companies like Facebook have algorithms behind the scene chief can post something to Facebook or social media, but not everyone is going to see it that likes the police page. They have algorithms that dictate how many people it pushes to, and if it's trending, it might go up to more. So he could put something online on Facebook, and it might only go to a third of people's news feeds. Having an app like this where people are opting in, they're going to get the notification every single time. So there is a nice benefit to having something like this. You see things like this being used also on a lot of college campuses, where people, download the app, they get the notifications, they can report. You're seeing it even in businesses where they're having the apps for, instead of just saying call us, which is what I like to do. I like to talk to that person on the phone. There's a certain part of our community that wants to be able to do it all on the phone through an app or through a message. So this would, I think, be a nice tool for the chief to have. I'd be in support.
Have we determined how we're paying for it?
No,
That's for you guys,
So Kevin's going to pay for it.
I can write the check.
He's gonna write the check.
Oh!
Someone's gonna need to tell me which account.
So we had a discussion earlier today regarding, would it be charged solely to the police department, but given there are some opportunities for other departments to use it, costs can be spread. Do we just charge it there, take out a contingency, and then figure it out at the end of the year as to where it should be charged out, given usage?
It's $100 and something a month.
Yeah, it's $2,000 a year.
40,000. Yeah, we'll share it for that first year.
I mean, I'm sure if I could, I guess would have to lock it in the police only.
Yeah, that was the one question that Mayor was talking as well, is that if it's gonna be used for other purposes, pushing out alerts for DPW and that, it would probably need that. No, correct.
Would, and this might be a conversation for a different meeting about implementation, but would it be smarter to focus on police use year one, master the product, and then, or do you think it's going to be that user-friendly where get everything on there at once?
I think they're gonna train us on how to do it. My big thing is the amount of work that's being done here. Just like we have the parking lot here that's having all this work done, I can push it out to the community and say, hey, you show up to the town hall, this is the best way to go. You can reply to me with that. I actually got on Syracuse PD's and followed theirs because I want to see how they did it.
Sure.
The Syracuse PD has it also. And
Did you submit a tip?
I did not. I did not, but it's very easy to. So if I broadcast something out, you just hit a button, submit a tip, and it comes to us anonymously.
You can see fire issues, you can see potential code issues, and the issue, if we got a water main issue, those types of things. You can see a variety of uses for it.
Well, the thing is, it starts off at 2,000 a year. Is that where it's going to stay, or is this thing going to balloon to, how much is it going to be 5 years from now?
The renewal would be $2,000 for the second year. It does not go into year 3.
The chief negotiated a savings with them, the price is higher, that's not substantial, but
I will say the nice thing about these apps is, especially something like this, there's not a lot of proprietary functions involved, so there are competitors. A nice competitive marketplace does tend to stifle rate increases, unlike some other industries where it's one player and they can just.
And the other thing you can do, we can attach it to our crime mapping, so wherever we have incidents, actually you can build it on in crime map, find out, hey, this is my area, is there something going on? Is there something I need to be watching out for? There's a whole list of stuff that this app can do for our community. And it's free to, and you can just download it and be connected immediately, and it's gonna lock it right to Massena, which is good. It's not gonna be anywhere else but just us.
So basically, this is a combination of Facebook and Crime Stoppers together.
Well, in one way, yeah, you're right like that. It just has, everybody's phone-based, so everything's on their phones, so that's kind of like when you get the alert, if you have an Amber Alert and everybody's phone goes off, it's kind of if you're locked into 411 with us, which that's what we're gonna do, we'll push it out, plus they will. You're gonna get those type of alerts. It's gonna ring on your phone, you're gonna pick it up, you're gonna look at it, and it's gonna tell you immediately what's going on.
Well, tell me when the thing goes off, it says that there's a fire on 10 Main Street. Everybody and their brother's gonna run down to the fire.
Well, part of the push out would be this road's blocked off because of a fire. That's what we do, trying to circumvent people from going that way and stopping them.
Quote's good for 60 days, correct?
To quote, yes, I would have to notify them by the end of September, or end of this month. They need to have an answer.
So is there an account we could take this out of? I mean, I know we're going to move money from contingency because we've not budgeted for this. So is there a specific account that you would have in mind that we would charge this to?
Any one account, not necessarily, depending on if you decide that you want to spread it across the other accounts as well, the other funds.
So if I may just back up, the quote date is September 6th, and it says quote is subject to change after 60 days. So that
The amount could go up.
right, the 60 days from September 6th is not the end of this month.
Right, the part of the agreement, because I asked for a lower price because it was more than what it was, they said I'd have to let them know or give them a purchase order by the end of the month.
We could, if you're so inclined to do this, you could authorize 2,000 from contingency into one of the police accounts, and then if you decide you want to charge it off somewhere else at some point throughout the year, we can make another amendment to the budget modification, I should say.
Yeah, so for the initial would be to take it out of contingency to your 400 account. And then if you decided to move it, I can do journal entries to move it to other funds.
So you're moving to move $2,000 from contractual to the police 400 contractual, I'm sorry, contingency. The village's contingency account to the police's 400 contractual account to cover for this.
For this 1 year, not for the renewal.
Right.
That will be a separate motion at a later point in time.
That'd be a budget item.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second it for the purpose of vote. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thanks.
Thank you for looking into it, Chief.
Yeah.
We have an appointment, John J. Smith, Police Department Patrol Officer. Chief.
It's, so the leaving of David Henry is authorized me to canvass for a position, and I happened to reach out, John Smith did. He would be a lateral from Potsdam Police Department. He has 5 years of service. He graduated the David Sullivan Academy in 2015, so he'll be able to start immediately. Minimal training that he'll go through with our field training, and he'll be able to go right out in the roadway and work. So I would ask that you appoint John Smith as a patrol officer for us.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Carter. Discussion?
I think by getting this guy on board soon, he's going to cut the overtime cost, or should.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Proposed resolution for cancellation and release of contract with St. Lawrence Soilway Company LLC. So as you recall, we have reached a purchase agreement for the property known as 536 and 540 South Main Street a number of years ago with St. Lawrence Soilway. They have since, of course, informed us that they're looking at other sites out in the town of Massena. That is still yet to come to fruition. The contract with them did expire, but on the advice of our attorney, he wanted to clean it up and just reach an agreement with them that just basically says they've walked away, so that now we're free to do whatever we want with that property without worrying about them coming back and saying there was some misunderstanding. So this just really clarifies what was in the contract agreement and clarifies that they've lost their $10,000 down payment to us for this.
So move.
Mr. LeBeer. Second by Mr. Carl. Discussion. It's a resolution. Poll individually. Mr. Carl.
Aye.
Mr. Deshaies.
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
So will we be putting that up for sale, or is it?
I think we've already declared surplus, correct? So it is, yeah. So I think we'll have to talk about, we've had some ideas with moving Massena forward and the DRI actually discussion with that, the outside of the boundaries as far as potential sale. So yes. Voucher warrants.
I move that the vouchers signed by trustee Carl and myself be approved,
And me.
and the mayor.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carl. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Monthly reports, you have the Messina Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., August 2019, and the Messina Permanent Firefighters, Village of Messina Code Enforcement for August 2019. I have a few correspondence and communications. I did sign a resolution for Constitution Week. It's an annual resolution that we do, that's on file. We have the open house of the Mercantile Building this Thursday at 3 o'clock at 2 Water Street, so I would encourage anyone here, of course, everyone's invited, including the public. Next Tuesday, September 24th, is the 60th anniversary celebration of the St. Lawrence Seaway, so I'll be on hand for that. Number of events planned for that as well. Of course, this weekend, Costa FLW Series is here, fishing, so Town of Messina has made a number of strides in the area of fishing, so if you have an opportunity, please stop out and support that and the various events. And also, you're probably aware Senator Griffo was in town on Sunday. We toured the construction out back here in the parking lot, as well as the arena, the roof project, and the doors that were funded by the money that he obtained through DASNY for us. That's all I have. Communications, trustees.
Mayor, do you happen to know, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, for Constitution Week, are there any local events?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I'm waiting to see something. And it's just critical importance of it.
Anything else, trustees? Closing public comment. Again, we ask you to please stand, come to the podium.
George Robinson, is that a contract on the Soyway, is that over near the railroad tracks in South Main?
Yes.
It's still up for sale?
Yes. It's available.
Hi,
Mr. Sieg.
Tom Sigmund. So with the cancellation of this contract now, that this is all over with now, is the grant that you received, or did you receive, for the salt building, wouldn't that be null and void now because there's nothing for jobs now?
No.
It continues on?
I'm sorry?
It continues on?
Correct.
Okay, so in saying that, and this will be the last statement that I make on this, just so you gentlemen know. In short, I would just like to say it was always the intention of some people of this board and the superintendent to move the operations of to the Robinson Bay or Robinson Road facility no matter what, okay? There were prints from the beginning of what you all wanted done with that area. Now in saying this, you all gave us the public chance to speak and you all listened to our concerns. But at the end of the day, did exactly what was planned from day one. I just feel that this has to be said on behalf of those who will be affected by this now and in the future. I just felt that I needed to say that. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say things to me, and I just felt that I want to close this chapter. And unfortunately, we don't like the way it turned out. I understand where you gentlemen came from or are coming from, but it's just a sad situation all around of how everything else. And I'm not saying that I'm not criticizing anybody on the board. You all listened to our concerns. They weren't what everybody wanted, but they were, you listened to us, and I appreciate you doing that. I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sieg. Further public comment? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilman Beard, second by Mr. Carville, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Mayor.
Thank you.